and I had blood, sweat, and tears and money into them, and things started getting exposed. And it can get fast and hostile. Those guys are selling their shares for $500 million. That's the loaded question. Everybody, whenever I get on, they're like, Deanna, how did you get in sports? I go, I don't know. I think God has a sense of humor. And he said, there's some issues in financial literacy in sports, and I'm going to throw you in this seat and fix it. And that is how it started. I always joke saying that, but the truth is I ended up getting into sports because I had an NBA player for the Chicago Bulls who reached out to me and wanted me to mentor him. And while I was mentoring him, I realized this is a real problem. There was a lot of athletes, and over the years, I had worked with different athletes, like from Chelsea, Arsenal, NFL players, and they're all needing help in financial literacy. And I started thinking about this, thinking this is a real problem. There's a big hole in the athletes' lives where people are not sitting down and teaching them about a budget. And I realized that not all people learn about money, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how Athlon got started. When I first got into acquisition and development, I had a bank boss and senior VP, and I remember him saying to me, he says, you can't love a deal so much that you can't walk away, because you could love it more and you need to walk away because there's issues and there's telltale signs that start unfolding right before you close, right? And most people, they get so entrenched in it. They know that they've spent money into the due diligence, and they're like, I can't lose the money. I'm not going to walk away. And later on, it turns into a bloodbath, and you should have walked away. And I've had deals that I had to walk away from, and I had blood, sweat, and tears and money into them, and things started getting exposed. There was something that went wrong, and you just got to walk away. And it's heartbreaking because, especially when you're passionate and you love it, you can have several firms and people coming out of the woodwork trying to negotiate behind the scenes while everybody's putting bids in for a company. And it can get fast and hostile, knowing the right person. Honestly, I mean, it's a small space. And so there's a whole bunch of, I could just rattle on names over and over and over, but when you look at it, there's really a small group of us in sports compared to how many wealth advisors, institutions, and institutional firms are out there. So I would say that this asset class of sports kind of reminds me of, if you look at the industrial age with inventors, and think about the people who invested with those early inventors in the 1800s. Some of those families are still living on legacy money. This is opening up a huge opportunity for CEOs, entrepreneurs, founders of companies that, they've got some money that they've earned in their business, and now they want to invest, and where are they going to put it? Put it in the NFL, put it in soccer teams, put it into some of these companies where you can leverage your brand. You can put it into those companies, these sports companies. Not only are you an investor, but now you're making money off of the same company by utilizing your brand into that, that team. So there's all kinds of intersects. Typically, family offices, they invest a lot of money into real estate. Over the last 5 years or so, they became a little bit more flexible, getting into the alternative investment spaces, and they are going to probably get real vigilant on direct investments that they are part of the company or they bring some kind of value to the company. They are really engaging in sports, which is really exciting. So you're not just talking about sports franchises, but you're talking about all things sports, like sports tech, medical devices that athletes are using, drinks that create performance enhancement for athletes, and proteins, and, bio-life sciences. And there's so many areas that an athlete actually touches that creates all these different revenue investment opportunities rather than just a sports team. You're seeing the ESG and the focus on commodities. I mean, if you think about it, sports is recession proof. People, it doesn't matter how high inflation is, it doesn't matter how broke they are. They're going to find that 4 hours that they can escape their life, go to the game, be part of the fandom and the energy and the excitement. With commodities, you have different cycles at different times. They're not all running in the same cycle at the same time. So if you spread your wealth across different areas of commodities like energy, mining oil and gas, solar, which is ESG, or alternative energies, in real estate, they all have a cycle period, right? Sports never does.
Yep.
It always is increasing, evolving in some dimension. And when you think about it, sports is recession proof. I mean, people are going to go to the games before they're going to go do anything else. I think, you're going to see more Asian investors buying more teams, maybe not so much it depends on in the United States where they can get, right? But I definitely think there's big opportunities for Asia and in other countries to come in. The Middle East they want to see investors and teams get born there. They want to put money back into their own backyard, right?
Yeah.
And if you invest in one of their stuff there, then they're going to invest here. And there's a romantic dance there that can be done with the right partners in the Middle East, because sports creates lots of jobs. And if you have a real estate play with what you're investing in, now you got big investment, big returns. I mean, Texoma FC, our USL soccer team that we have with the Gronkowskis, we have a massive real estate development that we're doing there. We're building a 7,000 seat stadium, an entertainment district with a parking garage and a hotel, and a sports facility is going to support the local junior high and high school. So the investors who invest into the soccer club itself are automatically included into the equity ownership of the company that owns the real estate. I just think we're in such an amazing time for sports assets that if you're an investor that's a fan and you're passionate about sports, you have your own business, you have some capital, you want to invest, do it now. And even if you didn't do it with us, but you found one of the other firms that you can invest in, do it now, because 5 years from now, you put $1 million in today, 5 years from now, it might be minimum $100 million because there's no access like there is today, right? And it could be another 20, 30, 40 years before something else opens up where it creates this avenue of access. If you think about the NFL, when they were first doing their franchises, it's kind of what's going on right now. And, people were writing checks for like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 40 years ago, which was a lot of money back then. Those guys are selling their shares for $500 million. There's so many different areas that women are really fostering, making their mark and going into sports. They're going to be paid as much as the guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be really amazing how investing into women's leagues is good, in teams, women's league teams. That's going to be the big fire right there.